Leeds United have a lot of work to do in this transfer window, as we all know, and signing known talents, and this isn't just like worldwide superstars and all that kind of stuff, but talents that are known to the club and know the club would be absolutely massive because it reduces the amount of time spent adapting. And that includes people with direct club experience. And thankfully, one of the bigger stories of the summer looks like it is going to be around Manor Solomon and his potential move to Leeds United, which has a new sort of development in it that I'm going to save to the end because we are running through the full story of Manor Solomon's potential Leeds United move so far. However, before we get started, I'm just going to cover off a couple of things. One, if you enjoy the video at any point, pop a like on it and subscribe. It's massively appreciated and free for you. And if you haven't yet, I'd hugely appreciate you getting a ticket for the Leeds Creator Cup. It's a charity match with all of your favourite Leeds United creators. £7 ticket for adults, £3 for children, happening on the 20th of July at the John Charles Centre for Sport. It's going to be a fantastic day. I'm really, really looking forward to it. And if you get your tickets by the 31st of May, then you enter a raffle for a customised shirt. So it's win-win, isn't it? Anyway, into the main story. Got to start with talking about last season, where Manor Solomon had some frankly ridiculous numbers. He might have started relatively slow, and we had concerns about his injuries and all that kind of stuff. But when you look at his numbers at the end of the season, Manor Solomon was a frankly ridiculous footballer for Leeds United. I'm just going to bring his numbers up now. Have a look at all that green. So for non-penalty goals, he was in the top 13% of all attacking midfielders, wingers in the next 14 competitions. So it's everything that isn't a top 5 league in Europe. Top 3% in assists, 1% for expected assists, 1% for expected goals plus assists. Doesn't shoot that often, but the fact that he turns it into good stuff is fantastic. Good passer, all of these numbers genuinely ridiculous, and that is considering that he really only got into his best football when it came to the end of the season. So, of course, we're all looking at that and being like, that momentum is incredible. Let's hope you consider that into the Premier League. Continue that into the Premier League. But he's gone back to Spurs because we only signed him on loan, which I'm now thinking is like a bit of a shame. But of course, that was going to happen. They were trying to get Solomon back into fitness, and at the end of the day, he did. So that works out. However, as much as he's gone back to Spurs, that doesn't mean that there isn't chat about a return to Leeds United. Specifically, there were prices discussed a little bit earlier in the window. A few people were talking like 10, 12 million very, very early on. I've heard numbers as high as £20 million, but the rough figure that everyone seems to be discussing is that 15 to 17 million pound range, which is genuinely not too awful a figure for a winger that is a very, very good quality winger. Specifically, look at the last time we got promoted and we had a lone winger in the promotion season, and then we bought them in the Premier League. Helder Costa, who we spent £15 million on and then didn't particularly play for us once we had Rafinha on board. That's where things are a little bit complex because you want to make sure that player's going to be of good quality, but I think Manor Solomon blows Helder Costa out of the water. £17 million would be a fairly decent deal for him, and ideally, we just get the move done in no time at all. But then we had a little bit of a concern to think about, because enter Marseille. Second place in Ligue 1, will get Champions League football next season. That becomes a little bit spooky, and their interest in Manor Solomon was reported a couple of weeks back. So everyone got a little bit scared, because whilst we've got Premier League football, which is obviously a draw for players because it's the most prestigious domestic league, the most prestigious continental league is fighting against us, which makes it very, very complicated. Of course, like, the Premier League is a big draw, but you can become a bigger name if you make a mark on the Champions League, which would be a problem for us. However, shortly after this, Marseille themselves pulled out of that conversation, and they did so relatively publicly, including talking to journalist Sacha Tavolieri, stating that they categorically didn't have an interest in Manor Solomon because of political issues. Now, a lot of people are sort of not discussing it, but I feel like it's fair to discuss what the issue is without having to have the sort of annoying conversation that follows that everyone inevitably will want to have because it's the internet. But the general gist is that Manor Solomon is Israeli. And Marseille has a vast Muslim population. I believe it's something like 20% of the population of Marseille, which means that a lot of their fans will be Muslims, which means that the Israel-Palestine conflict causes problems. So Marseille are taking the decision to just completely avoid all of that and not go for Manor Solomon, which makes sense. And that leaves Leeds as the only suitors that I am personally aware of with an interest in signing Manor Solomon. Add on to that the fact that Spurs have some odd financial issues at the moment. So in terms of PSR, they are basically fine. But in terms of pure cash, they've got some problems. They're relatively low in terms of cash flow. So that means that with Daniel Levy not wanting to buy players without having the money in the bank ready to do so, they're going to have to sell someone. And in theory, you'd think if you're going to sell anyone, you're going to sell the players that you've had out on loan and are potentially not going to do too much for you and don't really have a future at that club. Which, if you're looking at it at face value, you're probably looking directly at Manor Solomon because he was at Leeds United last season. Odds are he's not necessarily going to find himself starting for Spurs next season, given the quality of their squad. And let's be honest, they've got some more important work to do. I don't see Manor Solomon in that squad next season, which means they will have to sell. And all of this adds up to us being in pole position, Spurs needing to sell. Solomon, I think, personally said that he enjoyed the way that Leeds had sort of taken him into the club and to the city, and there's a fairly decent Jewish population in Leeds, which he and his wife, girlfriend, either way, really enjoyed. We're in a very good position. And we were in a very good position before the latest little hint. And some people could see this and be like, Joe, that means basically nothing. But we know that football clubs are very, very careful with their image and how they present things and what they present. Because at the end of the day, that is how you show off what a club is and what a club is doing online. And our latest little hint is a YouTube video posted yesterday that looks a little something like, if I can find it, this. I'm not going to play it because my video killed, but every Manor Solomon goal and assist, 24-25 EFL Championship winners. Now, to me, that is a pretty big hint that there's not nothing in this. Because Dan James had more goal involvements last season and had an excellent season. Joel Piroux scored more goals than Manor Solomon. So it's not like we couldn't look to other players to put out a video like this. And if it was just this, I wouldn't bother doing a video on it. But I think there's enough story here that I'm feeling relatively confident on Manor Solomon. And I'm not going to fully commit and be like, yeah, we're definitely signing him, because I don't know. But everything is pointing in the right direction, and I would love us to sign Manor Solomon. I know he's a good player at Leeds United. I would love to see him given a decent chance in the Premier League. And honestly, I think he'd be a big asset for us. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. But at the end of the day, as always, that's just what I think. So let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you've not yet. Subscribe as well. I'm trying to get the channel to as big a number as I can because ADHD brain likes looking at the numbers and likes it when the numbers go big. And become a channel member if you're not yet as well. It's $2.99 a month and you get all of my videos early, including the ones on breaking news stuff. So that should be quite fun. And get your charity match tickets. That's massively appreciated. Yeah. Or be a volunteer for it. Just get in touch. The email's down below. I'm waffling now, so I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you later. Jesus Christ, this is the third time I've had to record this because of my internet connection. And stop calling me the supply teacher of YouTube. Or keep doing it. It's kind of fun. It's kind of cute. I'll take it as a nickname. Ta-ra.